Welcome back to Stories from the River. It's been a little bit of a summer hiatus, but I'm here with my business partner, our Chief Operating Officer, Manny Rodrigues. Manny, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be back on the pod. Charlie, welcome back. You've gotten some good sun, I can see, so welcome back to the pod.
Host, I think you were called Host 2.0, right?
I think that's 2.0. We had a fun summer series. I was thankful to be a part of it.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
And I want to just give a little shout out to Tim Klaus and our ops folks for this beautiful gray pullover. It's the Decoy, DC of the year, Decoy
right.
2. It's got all of our logos there with the Elevate logo. It's got the Bruins, the Otters, and the Falcons on there. So a little shout out to Tim. Thank you for the pullover. It's a beautiful pullover.
Well, thanks for repping and supporting ops. We have 3 amazing sites and all represented by their unique logo. And Decoy is having a great year, and our ops leadership team is doing an amazing job. I think Tim shared that, was it Fort Mill who's had quite a run so far? The last several weeks, the Otters out of Fort Mill have been very, very impressive.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So we're recording this the morning of Friday, September 1st. It starts to feel a little bit of fall in the air. We got a
little pumpkin spice
action going on. I actually had a little small pumpkin spice pastry this morning.
I'm smelling it.
Yeah. There's a high school football game this evening. The boys want to go to, which my wife informed me of. So I'll be there tonight.
Congratulations.
So it's football season. There was a game last night, some Thursday games, and a big week and a big weekend of college football. So that's starting up, and fantasy football starting up. So starting to get into the normal fall season. But hey, we've had a big week this week.
I would say.
Yeah.
I would say we've had a big week. It's been a lot of fun, jam-packed, and you know what? It had all the right ingredients to make it a really meaningful, purposeful week. So I'm excited to be here and chatting with you about kind of what made it so special.
Yeah, so I wanted to have you on just to kind of wrap a little bit about this momentous week. So we have, I think, 2, maybe 2.5 kind of big events to talk about. So the first one was we opened our 31st store, or 32nd if you count Cobra Kai, the virtual store as a store, which we do. So our 31st brick and mortar store, 32nd overall store in Salisbury, which we're now affectionately calling Salisbury, and it's a beautiful store. There's a beautiful story around it. But what has been the feedback on Salisbury?
Yeah, overwhelming feedback of just excitement about how transformational that location, that existing box has been. And so I'm sure we'll get into the story of what that was, but for the folks that had the chance to go visit Salisbury or Salisbury, I think overall they're just super impressed with this new 7.0 design that Ashley has launched, and really just thankful for that type of environment where they know our guests are going to have such an amazing experience, where they feel really, really proud to come to work every day. And oh, by the way, like the furniture and how everything looks, our sleep shop, the largest sleep shop across all of our locations. So there is a lot to like in Salisbury.
Yeah, so it's an Ashley store and outlet. Correct. So it's a 2-in-1 store. Plus we have the sleep gallery. So we're going to get into all of that. Mm-hmm. So this, Salisbury is about an hour north of Charlotte, midway between Charlotte and Greensboro. It's in the Charlotte market, effectively. It's the northeast fringe, I think, of the Charlotte DMA, off I-85, exit 76. And this was a former K-Mart building, sat vacant for several years. We actually had the property under contract in September 2020. And then at the end of due diligence, we couldn't work it out. So we walked away from that, came back a couple of years later with the revised counteroffer, which then was acceptable, except construction costs had gone up. So we bought the property. We flirted for a little bit with like doing a iconic 85,000 square foot Ashley World type store with like 4 or 5 entrances. Cooler heads prevailed, I guess. We dialed that down. And so it's about a 46,000 square foot Ashley showroom. So the other half will be a different tenant, different use. for the former, and we have transformed. I mean, this was, it was needed a lot of work, a lot of TLC, but just from the exterior, from the of the facade, the presence, the parking lot, the interior. This would be our third 7.0 store, right? We opened two 7.0 stores last year, one in Southern Pines, North Carolina, and one in Greenwood, South Carolina. And so we love the 7.0 design concept. So talk to us a little bit about kind of when the construction project started, and then kind of what goes into like a 7.0 and what our thoughts were around. Because I mean, this was our biggest redevelopment project to date.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we love first time evers, and this was a definite first time ever for us. The largest project of this scale and magnitude, budget that we were kind of presented with. And so I can tell you that our team, our construction team, our partners really got excited about it. We really got excited about it. Really, started from day one, understanding the potential of this location. There's a lot to do, as you mentioned. This is a box that sat idle for several years, and so anytime a location doesn't have movement in it, things start to, of course, just break down. And so it was a complete redo from the roof, a brand new roof, to the exterior facade, a lot of work, and also understanding where the industry is going, from punching in some windows, getting a lot of natural light. So there's a lot of work that went into it. We're thankful for the partners that we have, and ultimately is then executing the vision, of what this could be, a really iconic location in Salisbury that would drive excitement, and also align itself to a really cool strategy. I mean, you mentioned that it's not just an Ashley location; it's an Ashley location that has an outlet and that has this amazing sleep shop. So a very, very dynamic box. And we went in with a lot of the 7.0 features that Ashley has helped design, and I think we've also had some of our Broad River tested techniques that we partnered with Ashley on that have just all come to life in that box. So just really, really proud of it, but most importantly, proud of the team that put it all together. So
okay, so let's break this down in phases. I'll take one phase at a time, and I'll ask you about it. So the layout. Okay, 46,000 square feet.
45, yeah.
Yeah, and we've got, how large is the outlet portion?
Outlet portion is right around 7,000 square feet.
Okay, and then how large is this? You keep talking about the largest sleep gallery in our network. How large is the sleep gallery?
The sleep gallery is close to 4,000 square feet.
Okay. So 4,000, maybe even it feels larger. It's massive. And so, and these are in the back. Now, what was that part of the K-Mart when we kind of took over?
Yeah, it's a great point. That's a great point. So I'll answer the first question there. What was it? Well, it was their receiving area. I mean, essentially, they had a large receiving dock and receiving warehouse that we were able to kind of reimagine, reconfigure, and use half of it for where our outlet is today, and the other half is a good portion of our sleep shop. You mentioned that it feels bigger, right? I think that is some of the feedback that we naturally get when they ask, is this a 60,000 square foot box or 70? And the feel that you hear is really because of the polished concrete, the LED lighting, and then painting from the walls all the way to the deck. And so that you naturally, the size of the box feels like you're in a much larger location. Yeah,
it sure does. And you're jumping a few topics on me because I really just want to talk about first the layout. The layout, right? So that was former warehouse.
Yes.
And so a little bit tougher. You can't take that wall that separates the warehouse from the store can't be taken down, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So then we have to figure out, well, how do we convert this?
Yep.
Like we want that yield on what we're paying rent on to be as high as possible for a showroom. We don't need as much receiving area. And you're paying the same amount of rent, whether it's a warehouse or a showroom. And so to optimize the showroom per square foot and get that yield is above 90% of what you're paying rent on, we wanted to convert that to the outlet because it's a little bit easier to do, right, than maybe putting all the kind of fixins, if you will, into a showroom. So,
Yep.
so what do you kind of dial down in the outlet portion versus what might be in the showroom?
Yeah.
Main showroom.
No, it's a great point. Well, we know retail is detail, and so ultimately we try to be as judicious and thoughtful about every square inch of that location. To your point, we don't need as much of a larger warehouse, and so we were able to really have a good size outlet. And we love the outlet floor print in these larger boxes because it gives our customers choice. It gives them an opportunity to see even more value, all there in a space where they can go and they can buy some product right there from the outlet, bring it home with them. We have product ready to go, take me home today type of product. So that outlet becomes really dynamic when someone needs something today. They can go back there, and whether it's a desk, whether it's buying a mattress, whether it's buying just some accent pieces, they're all available there for folks to buy and take with.
Yeah, no, and I got that. So, but what is not in the outlet that would be in the main showroom? Is it different lighting? Is it different flooring? I mean, because it doesn't look like an outlet space. I mean, it looks good, but is there some sort of level of difference between what you designed in what we developed in the outlet portion versus the main showroom portion?
Yeah, it's a great question. No, the flooring's all the same. Flooring's all the same throughout. We kept that pretty consistent, except for the sleep shop, which we have some really nice LVT down. The lighting is all the same in the showroom and the outlet, and except for the sleep shop, which is dimmer, really just kind of have that feel. We have some racking in the outlet that helps us from a vertical merchandising standpoint show more product. And then the merchandising mix it's really the assortment of product that we show. Okay. That's going to be the main difference.
So there's really is no step down in quality. No. It's just a different way to assort because you got this big wall that you can't kind of take down from the warehouse portion. Correct. And then the flooring in the sleep gallery, we did differently than we've ever done before, right? So talk about the flooring and the paint and the sleep gallery, and why do you think it's been just so heavily commented on about how it looks?
One of the things there is just constantly learning from previous projects and going to look and see at other projects. And one of the things that we've observed was the carpet that we would always typically use in a sleep shop just wasn't holding up well, and it was a dark carpet and very these mattresses, these power bases, these systems, they're really heavy, and so when we roll them in to that space for setup or even to just move around because we're constantly shifting, it has a propensity of getting the product getting damaged or the flooring getting stained, and so this new LVT is just so much lighter. It's so much more inviting, and it's durable. So there's a lot to like about it, and we received a lot of great feedback from Ashley and from the team. It's actually going to become a permanent option now, moving forward for future stores.
Great. And is it less expensive than the carpet?
Yeah, that's a great. It is. It's actually so you get all those benefits and it's less expensive.
Yeah. We love to value. We love value engineer it.
Yes.
Okay, so going into the other parts of the showroom, flooring, we love to polish the concrete. That's a staple of kind of Broad River stores and 7.0 and previously 6.0 stores. So you got that, but it's brighter. So you talked about punching out windows it doesn't feel like a warehouse look. I mean, it's got natural sunlight, but why else? You talked about the paint. Why else is it brighter? Why are these 7.0 stores brighter? Do they feel more modern or more contemporary?
Yeah, no, well, it's a lot of that. I mean, one of the things when it comes to lighting, we've had the pleasure of learning a lot about lighting from our good friends over at USSI, and Bill Lindler was such an amazing kind of mentor to us in teaching us about foot candles and how to take the subjectivity out of it, take the emotion out of it, just measure it. I was like, okay, well, we'll go measure it. And so we measure all of our lighting in all of our locations, and we have for the past several years. And so it's not that it just looks brighter. It is brighter. It is brighter. We measure it every 30 days. We'll go in, and so the LED lighting that we use is proven to when used correctly and managed correctly, it depreciates. It takes longer to depreciate, and so you get more of that lasting effect of where that lighting quality should be and needs to be. And so that store, with the lighting that it has, with the amount of lighting that it has, and measured at the foot candles that it is brighter. And that's really important to our business because when she walks in, when our customers walk in, they want to see it as it's going to look when it goes into their home. Because if not, if it's a darker location, for all of our listeners here, this is just is kind of going behind the curtain here. It becomes a returns problem. Folks will see it in their home and they're like, well, this isn't the shade of blue or that I was expecting. And so then you get returns coming back because it's not quite what they expected.
We don't like returns coming back.
We don't.
How did the way we painted it, how does that impact the brightness of it? Yeah,
well, it's all white. So sticking with kind of the trend of being super modern, a 7.0. The store is completely white. It has a couple of accent walls that are kind of strategically placed throughout, but it really allows the product to do the talking. So the white just really adds to the openness, adds to the just kind of the perception that it is larger than it is. And so we love having the white walls and everything being really, really clean. It gives us a really blank canvas to work with.
Yeah, and do you stop at a certain 12 feet high, or is it because is it white just up to a certain point?
Yeah, that's a great. We consider that. We looked at, we could save there, but the intended outcome and the result of it would be we wouldn't get what we're hearing. Like the store feels so much bigger, and so no, we decided not only to go and paint all the way up to deck, we actually decided to paint the deck, and so we've done that in a couple of our other locations. And that's what gives you the wow factor. That
makes all the difference.
Makes all the difference.
Plus, now we also invest in. It's not easy to punch out these windows, right?
Yeah. No, it's
so, and how many windows did you punch out? I mean, there's even the former garden center, the garden outside, and then in the front.
Yeah, there's five different sections of windows that were punched out. Wow. One massive section that is our entrance, and so yes, that was the most. Cost and labor intensive part of the project.
Yeah, and so you talked about flooring, painting, the polished concrete, the different flooring. There's also LVT in the front room as well, and bringing the counter up front and the few accent walls. And there's different messaging. The 7.0's got different
programs.
Different programs. You want to speak to those?
Yeah. So we love the programs. We think they're great. Again, it just helps from shoppability. Also, just helps kind of drive home some points on. So Porter, one of our top selling bedrooms for years. Porter has friends, and so we package it all together and we show them. And also, it gives our customers choice, right? And customization. So you get to see these top selling groups, these just really well built quality groups, but see different versions of them. And then you get to see them with different added features like storage and what it would look like if it was, king versus a queen. And so Porter and Friends is a great program. We're super excited about that. Along with our pillow seating program, which is really, really exciting. So you think about the cloud seating being modular, folks, you can configure it however you want. And so you get more choice. You get 5 different fabrics and that you can select your configuration, put it all together, and our HFCs will help you kind of design that portion of your room.
Yeah, I mean, the walls now have things that we haven't had before, like the fabrics are on the walls, the configuration signage is on the walls, the power options or the reclining options are on the walls, and they're done very tastefully, and then there's different dining options, bar stool options, things of that nature, different programs. So those are all coming together and synchronized, and then just that gallery is really, really impressive. So then we did an open house just like last year before, and we'll talk about our soiree. But before the soiree last year, I think we did like three grand openings around the soiree. We did Southern Pines grand opening, Greenwood's grand opening, and Spartan Ridge, our new distribution center's grand opening. And Todd Wanick was on us for some of those tours, and several other folks. And then we did the soiree. So this year we said, well, why not kind of keep the degree of difficulty high. So we did an open house, not the official grand opening for Salisbury, but an open house. So because we thought people would come who are coming in from out of town for the soiree would want a chance to see this brand new store. And Caitlin did a great job setting that up, and the people were there to receive our guests. And then, so what was the feedback from the open house that you heard?
Well, I think the open house went off really, really well. I mean, we have a lot of partners that, as you said, flew in from all parts of the country to help celebrate our memory makers, help celebrate our HFEs, our experts, but to allow them to kind of come in and see how we operate day in, day out in a retail location. And so some of these partners are, partners that help us from a finance side or from a customer experience or ops side. And so they had the opportunity to kind of come in and walk a brand new showroom. And the feedback was, wow, I was like, this place looks amazing. Like, look how bright this location is. It looks so inviting, so spacious. The product looks great. And so I think it's hard to see the kind of the wow statement when you look at that facade, when you're pulling into the location because of all the windows, because of the size of the sign. It really is an impactful first kind of representation. So it was great. It was great to see them kind of walk around, test out some of the product. You mentioned the motion, like they got to kind of see what P1, P2, and P3 means, and adjustable
what
massage.
Those mean? What P1?
It's all about understanding how much configuration a specific, back when we were kids, we had manual. You just kind of hit a lever and the feet went up, or your former kind of recliner.
Yeah.
Well, today there's not just like reclining your feet. You have an incline for your headrest to make sure that your head's stable and where it want it to be. There's of course movement in your feet. There's also movement in your lumbar support, and there's massage.
It's how many units of power.
Correct.
Yeah, that's great. And so we set this store up from Sunday. We started receiving product through Thursday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 5 days of setup, 45,000 square foot Ashley store and outlet, and then opened on a Friday.
Ready to go.
Yeah, it was amazing. We had about 6 dozen people every day for the setup, and some of our partners came in and helped us. And but our visuals and everyone, the whole visual impact team and others from other departments came in. And I would always ask, know how many people would come in, because I'd ask Janet, how big was the lunch order today, and it was great to go up there and see how many people were working, and just like everyone's knowing what they're doing. It's just a well orchestrated machine. I think I called Janet the conductor, right, of this beautiful, well harmonized orchestra that was just kind of harmonizing and getting the showroom set up. So I'm there on Tuesday, and I see Jana Grant, and she says, well, Todd Wanick is in Advance doing the Path to Excellence meeting. So I texted Todd. I said, hey, Advance is only 40 minutes away. I said, hey, if you got some time, you want to come see. I thought he might really like the store and to see it. We had I said, if you like the store, you ought to pop on down here if you got some time. He said, I'll be there 6 o'clock that same day. Well, we had a fundraiser that evening, so I couldn't stick around. I had to get back to Charlotte, but he did come around. He brought like a dozen people or so with him of his team, his executives. And I think he was just blown away. He sent us tons of feedback. He sent his design team tons of feedback, and it wasn't even finished. He said he wants to come back and see it when it's finished. We're planning for the grand opening on October 5th. So it's great to get that feedback and just acknowledgement from Todd. What did you hear from Todd and from folks on the Ashley design team?
Yeah, well, again, similar feedback. I mean, I think first and foremost, they were taken back by just the representation of the facade. I mean, it looks powerful. It looks dynamic. And then as they, got to tour the showroom, the specific feedback that came back my way was this sleep shop is the best we've seen. The best we've seen, and they loved the LVT. They loved how all the elements came together. And so we're really proud of it. I mean, and you mentioned Janet, and you mentioned, Lynn. I mean, this team that brings this store to life, takes an empty shell that is, beautiful and ready to go, but 8 53-foot tractor trailers pulling in full of product, unloading all of that, getting it all set up, having all the plans ahead of time on where everything's going to go. Everyone has their own section. Thankfully, we've had some practice. We've had some practice over the years on how to get prepared for store openings, but there's nothing like seeing it, all come together. I think it's a really beautiful representation of our team, of how our team comes together. And something that we, I always tell our team, like, we can't get numb to. Like, we get to open a new location in a market where we see others who aren't as fortunate, that aren't opening and are shutting down. So we just have to pause to recognize that this is because of the efforts of all of our memory makers that we get to do this together.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to conclude this part of the episode, I want to talk about just positioning and real estate placement. Every real estate decision takes a lot of thoughtfulness, a lot of study. You got to kind of project how much revenue you think you'll do in a market. We had a store in Concord, Kannapolis. We called it Kannapolis, but it was kind of right there on the border. Could have gone either which way. And we really saw this more, and we knew that we had a lot of customers coming from Salisbury. So with our store in University City, and then the new store we opened further east, northeast in Albemarle, we really saw this as more of a geographical repositioning. So we went about 20 miles up the road from Kannapolis. We closed Kannapolis this past January and saw this more of a repositioning, a geographical alignment, if you will, for our Charlotte market footprint. And it was going to be a major investment. We were able, like everyone from the Kannapolis store stayed employed and went to different stores. Most of them went to the University City store, and even our managers. So we ran there with 2 general managers. And so the former Kannapolis GM is now the Salisbury GM, Sean Davis. And then most of the Kannapolis team, a couple of them landed it permanently in like Mooresville or Pineville, but most of them went back to run Salisbury. So you're opening with an experienced general manager, an experienced retail experience manager, Ted's up there, and then an experienced sales staff. And so with some sales managers and visuals and everything else. So we've got a great team, and it's more of a repositioning in the market is the way we see it. And
that's right.
We felt confident, and there was never an Ashley store in Salisbury, but we knew that we had a really healthy customer base from there. So more of a geographical repositioning for us. Any comments from you on how we've kind of set up the northeast or North Charlotte corridor, if you will?
Yeah, I think it pegs to one of our growth strategies. It's growth strategy number 2, as we are constantly looking at just impact and market share. And so I think these are all wise decisions and decisions that we always, as you mentioned, look at the people impact. And so I'm thankful that we have a seasoned team that helped open this new location because it makes it that much easier and seamless. And so it's a big part about what we do is constantly having a pulse on where that market is and where customers are traveling to and how markets, especially here in Charlotte, are developing. And there's a lot of these markets are just seeing a lot of folks moving to them because Charlotte's growing so rapidly.
Yeah. So you want to leverage your advertising infrastructure, right? You want to leverage your call center infrastructure, your distribution footprint, and those all go into it. You work with Ashley and your partners on mapping out what you think the pro formas and the revenue potential, and then you try to find the right box. And real estate is imperfect science. Sometimes you get a smaller box, you make it work. Sometimes you get a larger box, you make it work. Or a piece of dirt, and then you go do a build to suit or something like that. And then we work with Ashley's designers, we work with our architects. Then Tim Sales comes in with you and work with our general contractors and getting the plans developed. Then Janet comes in with the visual team with Karen and they put together a plan. And then you get the merchandising plan, and then you get Ashley coming in with their design team. And okay, it's going to be a 7.0, and here's how we can configure it. So a lot goes into it, and then we've got to get IT and get it all set up, get your traffic counters, get your credit cards working, and get everyone trained up, and get your reps to come in. So this is our first episode we've ever done where we talk about a store opening, the fact that we had an open house this week, got the new store set up. It's a beautiful new store. It's our first new store this year. We've had quite a run the previous few years, and we're quite proud of it. And it's our largest development to date. And I think you guys, we all knocked it out of the park, and really proud of the effort. And I think the word that Sean is using is perpetual for that store, and the word I'm using is just joy. It's reinvigorated joy. And I think if you were going to use a word, and I'll ask you, you'd say, let's just don't get numb to it. So let's make sure. So anything else you want to share on Salisbury?
I would just say, super thankful that we get to do this and get to open these beautiful locations. And it happens only because of the team and how everyone comes together to really take a vision, right? It all starts with a vision. Momentum can only get started and accelerate through a common vision. And so the vision was set out really clearly. And so I'm appreciative of that vision. And then it's nice to see it all come together.
Awesome. So Manny, I'm going to ask you to come back. We're going to make this a two-parter. So this was a Salisbury episode, and then we'll come back, and we had another big event this past week, the soiree, which we've mentioned. So I want to come back and do that. So thank you for joining us from Stories from the River, the Salisbury open house, the Salisbury opening episode, and the story behind Salisbury. Super excited to have that one open. Join us next time, and we're going to talk about the second annual Home Furnishings Expert Soiree, wherever you listen to podcasts or watch on YouTube. So that's Google, that's Amazon, that's Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.